What's up, guys? Today we are going to go over CallTools setup. So CallTools is just a type of power dollar, and your power dollar is just a way to make a lot of bulk phone calls to your landowners, right? And there's a lot of different marketing strategies. You can do SMS campaigns to reach out to landowners. You could do cold calling campaigns, direct mail, ringless voicemail drops, email. But I primarily use power dialing through CallTools and SMS text messaging campaigns. I usually talk about my CRMs, but today I just wanted to go over my power dollar, which is with CallTools. So we are currently on the CallTools dashboard. There's an agent dashboard, which is where you will actually make the outgoing calls to your landowners. And then you also have a manager's dashboard, which is where we currently are. This is what you use to kind of play around with the features or edit your settings, to add users or to buy phone numbers, things of that nature, right? And so today we're just going to go over the 3 primary features that you have to have set up in order to actually get on the phone as quickly as possible so that you can hopefully lock up some deals and start making some money, right? And so there's a lot of features to CallTools. It'll literally take you weeks before you figure it all out. You don't have to have everything set up in order for you to start making some money. There are 3 things that you do have to have set up. You do have to buy some phone numbers. Then you want to import your skip trace list of leads. Then you're going to want to actually set up your campaign, right? And so we're going to go over these 3 basic steps. And again, there are other things that you want to look into, but it's not necessary in order for you to start getting some deals under contract, right? So first, we're going to buy some phone numbers. So let's go to this box here that says PBX, phone numbers, DIDs. As you see, I already have a lot of phone numbers, so I'm not actually going to be purchasing any phone numbers today, but I'm gonna just go through it step by step just so you guys can know how to do it. Go ahead and select purchase, which is in the top right hand corner. Let's say we are working, let's do Palm Bay. Palm Bay, I would advise you to name it the city or market that you're working just to keep things organized. You do not want to get confused, so make sure you name it something that you're going to remember and you're going to be able to easily identify, right? And then for your inbound call, so let's say you're working a power dollar, right? You're calling a list of landowners and maybe they weren't available, but maybe one of them gives you a call 10 minutes later. This is saying, what do you want to happen? Where do you want that inbound call to go, right? And so I'm going to send it to myself, mini manager, but you can send it to a pre-recorded voice message or one of your VAs. I have 2 VAs, Jill and Micah, but I'm just going to send it to myself, right? And so any inbound calls that I get are just going to go to my phone number. You can also prevent inbound blocked phone numbers if you want. You would just go ahead and select that box. If you don't mind people calling you from a blocked number, just go ahead and deselect that. For area code, let's do 321. I believe that's a Palm Bay area code. Keep in mind with area codes, you don't want to area code match. What does that mean? That means, let's say I'm obviously working a list of Palm Bay landowners, then I want to pick an area code that's a surrounding city to Palm Bay. I do not want to pick a phone number that has a 321 area code if I know my landowners also have a 321 area code, right? So you want to pick a nearby phone number, right? And so right here where it says for nearby on the right hand side, let's go ahead and open that up and then just select any one of these numbers. I'm going to select area code 689. And then quantity, it really depends on how many landowners are on your list that you're importing. My list is always a minimum of about 1,000. And so I have to buy 14 phone numbers. CallTools recommends you to not go over 75 outgoing dials per phone number per day, right? And so that means if I'm reaching out to 1,000 landowners, I have to buy 14 phone numbers, right? There's really no way around that. Especially if you don't want to get flagged as spam likely by the telephone campaign registry, which I don't want to happen, right? And so I'm just going to go ahead and buy all 14 phone numbers. That's going to cost $2 per phone number. There is a $2 setup fee, and then it just costs $2 per phone number every month after that, right? So I already have some phone numbers for the Palm Bay market, so I'm not actually going to hit purchase, which you would by just selecting confirm. If you don't have any numbers, I'm going to hit cancel because I already have them, right? So after you purchase the phone numbers, then you want to set up a caller ID group, especially if you have multiple phone numbers. Caller ID groups is just a way to kind of organize all of your phone numbers into a neat, organized album or a neat organized folder, so that instead of having 14 random Palm Bay phone numbers floating around, it's all in one phone number, all in one folder, right? And so as you see, I have a couple of folders here. I have a Cape Coral 400 and a Palm Bay, and you also see that each one has 14 different phone numbers so that it can easily rotate. Once I hit that 75 dials for phone number 1, it's going to automatically rotate to phone number 2, right? And this is going to help me not get suspended or flagged or blocked, right? And so once you are ready to set up your caller ID group, it's really easy. You just select create caller ID group, and then you name it whatever you want. Again, I recommend you using a name that you're going to be able to remember, because you want to keep things organized and you don't want to get confused. So if you're working Dallas, Texas, then maybe just call it Dallas, Texas, right? Or if you're working Palm Bay, then I would just call it Palm Bay, right? And then boom, you're going to have your folder, and you just put the phone numbers that you just bought in that folder, right? I'm going to hit cancel because I already have my folder there nice and neat. After you have your ID group, then you want to do ID strategies, right? An ID strategy is just so that you can make sure you monitor how many outgoing calls you're going to make for each and every phone number. Again, they do recommend you staying at 75 or under. So go ahead and select create caller ID strategy, and the box is going to pop up. A lot of this is pre-filled out for you, and I don't really change the settings. They do have a recommended amount, which is 75. But if you want it, you could go in and change it to 100 outbound dials. Keep in mind, the more phone calls you make per phone number, let's say you changed it to 140 per phone number, you also increase the likelihood of being flagged as spam likely, because you're making a lot of phone numbers on a single phone, and it's just not natural, right? A natural, normal person is not making 200 phone calls from a single phone number, right? Even if they're really busy and really popular and extremely social, it's just not natural. And the telephone campaign registry, they see this and they go, that's odd. Why is that person making 500 phone calls per day? That's weird. That's probably a spammer, right? And they're going to flag your phone number as spam likely. And you do not want that to happen. So what happens is, if your phone number gets flagged as spam likely on your landowner's phone, it's going to say for caller ID, it's going to say spam likely. And a landowner is going to see the word spam plastered across their phone, and they're not going to answer, right? The only way for us to make money as land specialists is to get in front of landowners. If they're screening their calls and they're not even picking up the phone for me to make them an offer to purchase their land, then I'm not going to make any money. So that's why it's extremely important for you to prevent yourself from getting flagged, which is why I would recommend you just keeping it at the already predestined settings, right? You don't really have to change anything. For name, let's do Palm Bay. And then for caller ID group, again, keep it consistent, Palm Bay, Palm Bay. They also give you a recommended daily SMS messages for outgoing text messages per day, which is 200 messages per day per phone number. Again, they're just saying, well, I feel like the average normal person is gonna send out 200 or less text messages per day. And so we have to act like a normal phone person as well and stay within that 200 guideline, or else we'll get flagged as spam, right? So I would just go ahead and leave everything as far as the pre-settings the same. That way you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think. You don't have to do any math. If it says 75, just leave it at 75. And then for your caller ID strategy, we'll just do Palm Bay. And then you would hit save for your caller ID strategy. I already have it saved, so I'm going to hit cancel, right? And then that's pretty much all you have to do when it comes to setting up your phone number. So now that we have our phone numbers and we have the caller ID group and strategy, now it's time to import our list of skip trace landowners into our Power Dollar, right? So let's just head over to where it says data in the left-hand column over here, and then hit contacts. And then you're going to see an option to upload contacts. My contacts are already in my Power Dollar system, but I'm just going to show you how to do it if in the event you guys decide to get a Power Dollar as well. I have a list of Sebastian landowners. I believe this is already in my CallTools, but anywho. So the next step, once you import your list into your Power Dollar, you want to map it to make sure everything is consistent. So if you're new and you're just getting started as a land specialist, mapping just means you want to make sure everything matches or make sure everything is consistent. If it says first name, right next to the first name should be a landowner's first name. If it says last name, next to last name should be your landowner's last name. If it says state, right next to state should be the landowner's state, right? So if you put a list of landowners for Dallas, Texas, the state next to the word state should be Texas, right? If you put a list of landowners for Dallas, Texas, the city next to the city should be Dallas, right? So now that I explained it, it makes a lot of sense and it's really easy. I get a lot of questions about mapping for new people who haven't done it yet, but it's actually really simple. And 9 times out of 10, your CRM or your Power Dollar is already going to have things mapped and organized for you. You just have to kind of go in and look at it and make sure everything is right. Okay, so let's go over it. We see first name Larry, last name Star. We also see address. There's an address for the city. This is a list of landowners who live in Sebastian, Florida. So the city is Sebastian, so that's correct. The property state is Florida, that's correct. And then so on and so forth, right? Phone number and email. So everything is consistent. There's nothing that I need to go in and edit on this list. So you would just go ahead and hit next, and then it would import into your CallTools Power Dollar. This list is actually already in this platform, so I'm not going to upload it, but you guys can if you want to. Next, now that we have our list already imported into our CallTools, let's actually set up the campaign, which is in Contact Center, and then go ahead and select campaigns. And then I'm going to start by just duplicating. I guess I already have one duplicated. Let me delete this. So let's start over. And you want to start by duplicating a campaign that already exists, right? So let's go to all leads campaign down here. And let's select these 3 buttons on the right hand side and select copy. And then hit copy again. And then you're going to see all leads campaign copy. Let's hit the settings button because we need to go in and change that. We need to change the name. We need to make sure the caller ID matches the caller ID that we just made for this campaign, right? So let's say we're targeting landowners who live in Palm Bay, Florida, right? You want to name it again, keep the name consistent. This will help you not get confused. If you're working the Palm Bay market, then just name your campaign Palm Bay. Make it really easy for yourself, okay? Another step that a lot of people forget, you have to check this box that says active. In order for your campaign to be activated or live, you do have to hit active. I don't know why they do that, but it's very imperative. And you actually have to hit it twice, so watch out for that. Go ahead and hit active and then scroll down to where it says live filter. You see where it says live filter. Let's go ahead and select this pin. We're going to open it up and let's do Palm Bay. And then you see where it says active here. It's already checked on this one, which is good. Just confirm that it's checked. Down here it says filter D, F, D, and C. This is just federal do not call list. If you do not want to reach out to landowners who are on that list, then go ahead and select this box. If you do want to call federal do not call list, go ahead and deselect that box, right? And so I always do. We want to call federal do not call list, but that's entirely up to you for you to decide. And then the next step is to actually add your list of leads into the targeted box, right? So everybody who I add into this box on the right hand side, my power dollar is going to target in this campaign. This is the Palm Bay campaign. So I'm going to add Palm Bay leads. Let's see here. Let's find some Palm Bay contacts. Okay, let's do Palm Bay. One of my favorite markets. And so by adding all 4 of these lists, they're all Palm Bay landowners, this campaign is only going to target the list that I have in the selected box on the right hand side, right? So all of these contacts on the left hand side are not going to be contacted. All of the contacts on the right hand side will be contacted, right? And so that's pretty much all I want to target for this campaign. You want to just make sure everything looks right. So let's say you made a mistake. Let's say you added someone in there, like a list of leads that you didn't want to have in your selected targeted list for your particular campaign. Then you would just go in and just select it again, and it'll automatically remove it from that box, right? So it's no big deal. You can easily add them in and remove them just like that, okay? Just by selecting it. And then the bottom box here is just for any leads that you want your campaign to skip or to avoid or exclude, then you will add them into this box, right? And so the first box are the landowners who we are targeting. And then this bottom box are the landowners who we are excluding, right? Or skipping over. So let's say I'm working my campaign and I'm speaking to someone and they say, hey, you actually have the wrong person. I don't own any land in Palm Bay, Florida. Then I'm going to tag them as wrong number, and I'm going to make sure that they go in the excluded box, right? So anyone who I tag as wrong number, my campaign automatically knows not to contact them. So I don't have to worry about calling them on accident again in the future, right? I also avoid do not contacts and do not contact this phone number. So if someone I'm speaking to says, please do not contact me again, I'm not interested in selling my land, then I respect that, and by tagging them as D and C, right? So if they say don't reach out to me, then just make sure you tag them as D and C so that your campaign doesn't accidentally call them again tomorrow or later on down the road when you're working that list again, right? From there, you just want to hit save. But again, this list is already in my campaign, so I'm not going to hit save here. Let's keep moving. After live filter, you have agent scripts. You want to make sure you have some scripts written out for your VAs. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. Especially if they're new and they're still kind of in the training stage. It's good to just have that script so that while they're working the dollar, they can just read whatever you have written there, right? So typically I have one VA working Palm Bay and then the other VA kind of focusing on Cape Coral or whatever target markets that I have them working on for that week, right? And so let's say this is Palm Bay, so I'm gonna have my VA working my Palm Bay, Florida script. Also for call recording, you have to have this box checked if you want the calls to be recorded, right? And we want the calls to be recorded. We want to go over the data. That's how we get better. Also, if you have VAs, you definitely want those calls recorded. You don't want them saying anything crazy to the landowners or getting you caught up in any sort of crazy situations. Also, this is really good for training reasons, right? You guys can sit down and go over the calls, maybe the last 15 minutes of their shift and say, this works, this worked, this works, but this call here, this didn't work. Let's go over it. Let's work this out. And you could give them more training in those areas. So down here, it says suppress federal do not call list. Again, if you want to avoid them, go ahead and select that box. If you don't mind calling them, deselect that box. Mobile phone numbers, if you want to specifically allow your power dollar to call mobile numbers, go ahead and hit allow. If you want your campaign to target mobile numbers only, hit target. That means your campaign is only going to call the cell phone numbers of the landowners you imported, and they are going to skip over the landlines, right? If you want to suppress outgoing calls to mobile numbers, then you hit suppress. That means your campaign will only target the landline numbers that you imported, right? And they will skip over the mobile numbers, right? Obviously, we want to call landowners who have cell phones, the landowners who have landlines, always allow, right? Caller ID strategy, we said we're doing Palm Bay, right? Let's keep it consistent. Palm Bay, caller ID. For your transfer caller ID, this is just saying what phone number do you want to pop up when you receive a transferred in-house call? Do you want it to be the caller ID of the person who called you guys? Then it'll show up as the landowner, the callee, the person who called in, they call it callee. Or do you want the phone number to show up as the in-house person, the in-house agent who transferred the call to the other agent? Then you would just select standard, right? This is the fun part. This is why a lot of people love CallTools, because you can call 10 landowners at one time. I don't advise you do that. I would say keep it around 6 dials per time, because you'll run the risk of getting a high abandonment rate, which you don't want. What happens is, if you do have it selected at 10 channels per agent, that means your power dollar system is going to call 10 landowners at the same time. If 4 landowners answer at the same time, then that means you can only reach out. You can only connect to one unless you have VAs, right? Then it'll go to VA1, and then call 3 will go to VA3. But let's say you only have 3 VAs, but 4 landowners answer at the same time. What's going to happen to that 4th landowner? The CallTools platform is going to hang up on them. And that is called a call abandonment rate, right? If you hang up on a lot of calls like that, a lot of people who answer the phone, you will get a high abandonment rate. If you get a high abandonment rate, the TCR, the telephone campaign registry, is going to go, that's funny. That's a weird thing to do. Why would you call someone and then randomly hang up on them? What are they up to over there? And then they're going to look at you closer. And then they're going to flag your account as spam likely. You do not want to get flagged as spam likely, because the landowners are going to start screening their calls, and they're not going to answer because it's going to say, oh, that's spam, ew. And they're not even going to answer, right? And so you're not even going to get an option to present an offer to them, right? And you're not going to make any money as a result. So this is why I would say do not use the 10 or even 8, 9 lines at one time. I like 5. I feel like 5 works perfectly fine. As a lot of you guys know, I reach out to 1,000 landowners per day. I could get through that list in about 6 hours, especially if I'm not distracted. So doing 5 channels per agent is a really good sweet spot. I found 6 can work really good as well. I started off with 3, so my power dollar would call 3 landowners at a time, but that went by really slow. It was too much downtime, in my opinion. I feel like 5 is like the perfect sweet spot. It's going through fast. You're cranking those dials out. You're getting those offers in, and you can get a lot of deals locked up within a 1-day time span. But that's really up to you guys. But they do go all the way up to 10 if you want to play that game. Okay. Last thing you need to set up for your campaign is restrict transfers. This is if you have like multiple VAs and you don't want them to transfer calls amongst each other. You can allow or disallow. If you don't want that, just deselect that box, right? And then this is your Palm Bay campaign, right? You bought a list of Palm Bay phone numbers. You set up your caller ID strategy. Then you imported your list of Palm Bay leads. And then now you have your Palm Bay campaign, and then you're good to go. Everything else you don't really have to worry about. I'm just trying to teach you guys how to set up the basics as quickly as possible so you can start getting paid ASAP, right? And that's pretty much it as far as setting up your campaign. I don't have too much more that I want to add to that. The only other thing I would say is you do get an onboarding training session with your CallTools platform and even with your CRM, whatever you go with, whether you choose SMS campaigns or cold calling campaigns, most of them are going to give you some sort of training. They're not just going to throw you to the wolves and say, figure it out on your own. They are going to do like a Zoom training of some sort. Make sure you attend. Make sure you're asking questions. If the person there is speaking too fast or they're using verbiage that you just don't understand, speak up for yourself and ask them to go over it again. That's why we're paying them. We're literally paying them per month to help us. Make sure they are helping you. And if they're not helping you, find a different Power Dollar or find a different CRM. That is their job, to help you understand how to use their platform. Number 2, we went over phone numbers, PBX. Make sure you're buying enough phone numbers so you're not getting flagged as spam likely. TCR is not playing around in 2024. Okay, there's a way to get around it, but you have to sit down and just do the work, do the due diligence, and you can have a smooth cold calling campaign or a smooth SMS campaign, even with all the red tape, even with all the rules. I'm telling you how to do it step by step. Make sure you don't exceed 75 phone numbers per phone number, 75 phone calls per phone number per day. Make sure you don't exceed 200 SMS text messages per phone number per day as well, right? Also, make sure when you're importing your data, make sure you're mapping it correctly. Remember, mapping is just matching column to column. If it says first name, there should be a first name there like Ashley. If it says last name, there should be a last name to the right of it like Anderson, right? If it says state, it should be a state like Florida or Texas or North Carolina, right? That's all it is, really simple. And then of course you have your campaign. Just go ahead and copy a campaign that already exists. Make it easy for yourself. Change the name to whatever current campaign it is you are working on. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else I want to add to it. CallTools is pretty good, pretty intuitive. It's about $115 per month. They did charge me a $100 setup fee, which was a one-time payment. The phone numbers cost $2 per phone number, and you pay that every single month. And they do charge you a $2 setup fee as well. So the fees can get up there. I would just focus on a CRM or a Power Dollar if I was new. If you're new and you're just breaking into the land wholesaling space, you don't need both, right? You don't need to focus on everything. Just figure out which one fits your personality. If you know you're really shy, maybe you should go with a CRM so that you don't have to talk to these landowners and just send out a bulk text messaging campaign. If you have a very special personality, if you know people like you naturally, if you feel like you can build rapport with these landowners really quick, right? Like you know your gifts, you know your strengths. If you are a people person, you might want to get a Power Dollar, right? People are going to want to talk to you. Landowners are going to want to sell their land to you, and you can make a lot more money than the average land wholesaler because you have a very unique personality, right? So just be honest with yourself. If you have like anxiety or if you just don't like talking to strangers, don't get a Power Dollar, right? Unless you're going to have a virtual assistant working it for you, right? And so those are some of the costs that I want you to be aware of before you sign up with your Power Dollar, whatever system you go with. I like CallTools. I've also heard really good reviews about ReadyMote. I didn't end up going with them because I know a few people who already had CallTools and they said really good things about them as well. And so I just went ahead and signed up with CallTools. And I've been with them for 60 days and I have no complaints, right? If they change, I'm gonna let you guys know, keep you updated, but so far so good. And then also if you need me to go over anything in depth or if you need one-on-one coaching, make sure you use the one-on-one discount coupon to get 20% off. Just head over to landacademics.com. You guys know I have my Revolutionary Landing Wealth Master Course available, which will teach you everything you need to know about wholesaling land from A to Z. If you need a discount on that, just reach out to me, send me an email. I'll give you a discount coupon. Also, make sure you're in my free Discord land wholesaling community, especially if you're a new land wholesaler or you're just curious about what it is, make sure you drop by. We have a questions channel where whatever questions you have, whatever it's about, as long as it's related to land wholesaling, I'll be in there and I'll make sure I answer it. Let's have an awesome rest of our day. And I think that's all I want to say for CallTools. See you.